We have the Genius Act, Clarity Act, Anti-CBDC Act, advance halted by 12 Republicans, blocked by a key procedural vote just today, recently. We're going to go over the Genius Act just briefly, what that means for kind of the broader crypto landscape. We also have the government out of the UK talking about wholesale financial markets infrastructure built on blockchain. We've got Bank for International Settlements talking about a next generation monetary and financial system. We have a resurfacing Dtcc patent, and we have Ripple in California. This should be a good one. Buckle up. Let's see if I can get through this video in 10 minutes. I guess I'm going to probably need to share my screen before I do that. Here we go. So Genius Act, Clarity Act, advance halted by 12 Republicans. The Hill reported that the House vote began to debate on fiscal 2026 Pentagon funding bill, along with 3 crypto-related measures falling flat on Tuesday, blocked by a 196 to 223 tally. The trio of blocked proposals included the Genius Act to shape a stablecoin framework, Digital Asset Market Clarity Act aimed at broader crypto regulation, and the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, which would prohibit the launch of a Federal Reserve issued digital currency. So we're going to get into this, I guess, very briefly. If you guys don't follow Eleanor, obviously Ellie does a fantastic job in crypto, kind of reporting on all of this stuff. So procedural vote on the crypto bills failed after a group of GOP Freedom Caucus members voted no, mostly over concerns over CBDCs and the bills not being packaged together. And then Eleanor an hour ago saying no further votes expected in the House today. Unclear what's going to happen now, but we'll update as she gets more. Yeah, if you guys aren't aware, the Genius Act in and of itself, this is back in March. We did an article on the Genius Act. Could reshape the future of crypto in the U.S. by defining stablecoin rules and fostering innovation. You know, in crypto, we talk about, you know, when you're like in crypto, all the developers are working on, you know, tooling that enables kind of account abstraction, basically like making it seem like you don't have to use crypto to get into crypto, making, you know, onboarding into wallets less complex. Basically, you know, even like being able to log into a wallet via email, all the other things that just basically make it easier to onboard into this space. Think about stablecoins and stablecoin adoption as kind of that account abstraction on steroids, because like once people get comfortable with stablecoins and they're backed and they realize that there's, you know, secure measures there being put in place and they can kind of transact in them just like they would their dollars, it really opens up the door for kind of broader adoption of the rest of the industry. Genius Act introduced in February by Senator Bill Hagerty. Support from both parties, so bipartisan. The bill defining payment stablecoins as digital assets used for payments or settlements, redeemable for a fixed dollar value, backed one-to-one by reserves like U.S. dollars or treasury bills, not classified as securities, bank deposits, or commodities. Talks about who can issue them, key requirements for issuers, how the bill has kind of went through. This was back in March, so obviously, if you guys want like kind of like an earlier breakdown of the Genius Act, feel free. And then we, you know, as I mentioned, the Clarity Act, kind of broader market regulation. And then you have the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act as well. I have nothing against the Anti-CBDC stuff, but it would be nice to see the Clarity Act and the Genius Act go through. So at least there's something in the U.S. All right, briefly, I wanted to talk about this. I found this document. I'm pretty sure this is, you know, literally brand new, maybe over the past couple of days or so. But this is Financial Services Growth and Competitive Strategy 2035. This is a PDF from the government in the UK. It's pretty long, as you guys can see here. This is the UK's Modern Industrial Strategy, Financial Services Growth and Competitiveness Strategy. What I found interesting is position ourselves for the future, including by driving forward the digitization of UK markets. Finally, the government wants to ensure it is focused on the future and that the UK is harnessing the potential of new tech to drive change. Supporting the digitization of UK markets is critical to ensuring their future competitiveness. The government is therefore publishing a wholesale financial markets digital strategy, or WFMDS, which sets a vision for digitalizing UK wholesale markets. Through the WFMDS, the government, working with industry, will use tech to optimize and transform our markets, reducing inefficiencies, allowing markets to better serve the real economy, enabling a step change in efficiency, supporting a fundamental reimagining of the way financial markets operate, supporting new forms of asset issuance, transfer, and ownership. The WFMDS sets out how the UK intends to make markets, such as by removing paper, automating processes, and using data better. It outlines how the UK will apply tech to fundamentally reimagine and transform wholesale markets, in particular by adopting blockchain and or distributed ledger technology and other tech such as AI. Pretty interesting. Same stuff we're seeing across the board. This, I think about a week ago, or maybe this might have been a couple of weeks ago, actually, from the Bank for International Settlements. This UK government one's very recent. This might have been yesterday, but it's within the past week. Bank for International Settlements one, next-gen monetary and financial system. Key takeaways: tokenization represents a transformative innovation to both improve the old and enable the new. It paves the way for new arrangements in cross-border payments, securities markets, and beyond. Tokenized platforms with central bank reserves, commercial bank money, and government bonds at the center can lay the groundwork for the next-gen monetary and financial system. And stablecoins offer some promise on tokenization, but fall short on requirements to be the mainstay of the monetary system when set against the three key tests of singleness, elasticity, and integrity. Not going to read this full document, but we've seen the BIS and IMF and Bank of England and ECB and all these entities kind of move together. Go back to when the UK was saying the blockchain and distributed ledger was a scam, and when crypto was a scam, and now they're talking about tokenization like the greatest thing since sliced bread. You better believe that these public networks are where the liquidity is going to be for tokenization of real world assets. Them recreating their walled gardens isn't going to do anything. It's literally like slapping another Band-Aid on top of the current system. So I will take the rhetoric because it's clear kind of that the writing is on the wall with these different entities. These are pretty fascinating documents. If you do have time, you can read through. They get really, really in depth. You can see there's a lot on crypto, blockchain in here, but yeah, I found this today as well. I'm not going to dive deep into the weeds with this because I've already found a couple of these patents and published them through Genfinity. The one was digital liquidity tokens. New patent outlines integrating XRP Ledger and Stellar into interoperable asset management. The other one was a Dtcc hierarchical key management infrastructure that had like Ripple, Hedera, Bitcoin, Ethereum, a handful of others. Since I'm bringing up Dtcc, I should note how deep the Chainlink integration goes with Dtcc and CCIP, which is cross-chain interoperability protocol with Chainlink, going far beyond kind of the Oracle aspects. Chainlink, deeply embedded in Dtcc, deeply embedded in Swift and others. But so this is an interesting document. I mean, if you aren't aware, Dtcc is global derivatives. You're talking like quadrillions cleared on an annual basis. That's how much Dtcc touches. This patent that I found probably like a month and a half ago, you can see the Stellar logo, the XRP logo here, tokenizing liquidity. Those other two patents are really interesting. Anyways, this looks like a continuation. Dtcc acquired a company called Sec Currency. I always call it Sec Currency if it's mispronouncing that, whatever. SECCURRENCY. This is a continuation though. So Dtcc acquiring and then continuing with the work. This publication just as recent as about 12 days ago. So July 3rd, 2025, method and apparatus for creating and managing user configurable objects and functions on distributed ledger networks. You can see Ripple in here and you can see Hashgraph in here directly. Just to note, again, public-private consortium and hybrid blockchains are compatible with the present invention. In one embodiment, the blockchain system used by parallel to a primary chain implementations on distributed ledger and or blockchain tech, including but not limited to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hashgraph, Binance, Flow, Tron, Tezos, Cosmos, and or Ripple. In one embodiment, the platform includes at least one acyclic graph ledger, at least one Tangle, and or at least one Hashgraph, one quantum computing ledger, one smart contract. So, I wouldn't dig too much into the weeds with this stuff. It's interesting that they call out Hashgraph and Ripple and Cosmos and Tron and Flow and Binance and all these by name. But patents, kind of as a rule, normally do things as broadly as possible. A little bit of a different scope here when you get into like this patent that I found a couple months ago with digital liquidity tokens. New patent outlines integrating XRP Ledger and Stellar blockchain and interoperable asset management. I mean, yes, they talk this patent, even in this patent, they talk about the broadening scope where multiple networks can be integrated, like any network. I think even some of these patents through DTCC said can be interoperable with any blockchain or any DLT. But when they start putting, individual network logos on figures and stuff like that, maybe pay a little bit of attention. But so this patent through DTCC, which was July 3rd publicized, kind of in addition to the other two that I found. So this is the one that I found, digital liquidity tokens. And then just so you guys can see it, if you guys want to look at the other one, this is the other one. This is this hierarchical key structure. DTCC's master plan, tokenizing quadrillions in global assets with centralized control. Patent shows DTCC wants to dominate tokenized finance globally while being able to interoperate across public networks, build private or consortium networks, manage rights dynamically, or delegate wallets and prepare for quantum security threats. I think it mentioned again the same networks in that one: Ethereum, Hashgraph, Binance, Flow, Tron, Tezos, Cosmos, Ripple, etc., etc. This was interesting, and I'm already at 11 minutes, so let me wrap this up. MoonPay's chief legal officer joins California Breakthrough Project. This has to do with Ripple, I think so. So this is MoonPay appointed to the California Breakthrough Project, which is an initiative launched by Governor Gavin Newsom to enhance government efficiency, engagement, and effectiveness. Announced today, the California Breakthrough Project brings together top tech leaders from companies like AME Cloud Ventures, Anduril, Coinbase, Instacart, MoonPay, Ripple, and Snapchat to collaborate with state agencies. Deliver better services to Californians. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you get it. So Ripple involved with alongside Coinbase, AME Cloud Ventures, and more, and Snapchat. With top tech leaders for California under the governor's initiative. I stumbled across this today. So this looks like a pitch deck for LawBlock's AI. Cool to see some XDC network powered by XDC network stuff. I think this just came out over the past maybe week or month or so. I don't know if this has been released anywhere yet, but I found it. It's publicly accessible if you do targeted searches on Google. So I do think that we're going to start seeing reg tech and like regulatory technology and more kind of legal blockchain solutions out there. This has a lot of kind of the founders of XDC network involved in it. So maybe worth at least taking a dive into. You can see our partners, decent amount there. Core team. So both co-founders of XDC. So Ritesh, Atul. But yeah, you can dive into the weeds with about LawBlock's AI, certainly dealing with digital documentation and e-signatures and all the other stuff. So found that to be pretty cool. Also, shout out the 21 shares announcement with XDC last week was interesting as well. And then, I mean, I was looking forward to this live stream from the Digital Chamber. If you guys aren't aware, I definitely recommend following the Digital Chamber. The Digital Chamber is like Cody Carbone and all of the individuals that have kind of been really lobbying in DC for blockchain, distributed ledger, Bitcoin, crypto before lobbying in DC was cool. So I was looking forward to their podcast today, but obviously given the Clarity Act and given the Genius Act and given the kind of the hold that's been put in place, they postponed that podcast. They were going to do it alongside a Constellation network. We actually have, on Genfinity's standpoint, and always do your due diligence. Genfinity has media relationships with a bunch of layer ones, including Constellation. So make sure you do your due diligence. But yeah, we have a podcast with Constellation tomorrow. Both co-founders, so Ben Jorgensen, Benjamin Diggles, There's a lot of stuff going on in the Constellation ecosystem, and these guys have also been involved pretty deeply with the digital chamber. You know, kind of jumping in before it was cool to kind of supporting the American-driven kind of innovation stuff too. So, yeah, I was debating on doing a video. You can check out our podcast tomorrow to kind of maybe hear a little bit more about what's going on with the Genius Act and the Clarity Act. If we don't hear more in advance, halted by 12 Republicans, and hopefully we get some stuff across the line here shortly. And then again, you know, the UK government talking about this, you know, I think I found that other, maybe it was the European Parliament or European Union Parliament, I think, that said like the wholesale capital digital market or whatever with like crypto, or maybe that was the UK. That was like a few weeks ago, but not surprised to see like this strategy, 2035 strategy. I think everybody knows that the writing's on the wall with crypto, blockchain, and DLT at this point in time. You literally see Bank for International Settlements, their documents titled the next gen monetary and financial system. You know, it is what it is at this point. DTCC literally coming up with a structure to like tokenize all the world's assets, or at least patenting potential applications of doing so. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's kind of just like, okay, let's figure out how long we have to wait now. We need clarity. Let's get clarity. I'm assuming all this stuff, you know, the one thing about crypto that really still scares me to this day is like we talk about level playing field democratization of finance and all this stuff. And it seems like the rich are still going to get richer, and that's the incumbents and the powers that be in the traditional system aren't going anywhere. They're just going to be supplanted in this new system. And, you know, hopefully it doesn't turn into like they're weaponized with the technology just to do more of the same. But anyways, that's all I'll say about that. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And yeah, hopefully we get some regulatory clarity and see what happens in the in this market. So I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you. Thanks. Bye.